to understand antigen-antibody reaction, first of all we have to understand what is antigen and what is antibody. So in this video we are going to discuss about structure of antigen and its behavior and its properties. So let us start. So what do you call antigen? Antigen is any substance which is introduced parenterally and then it can generate either antibody or it may sensitize specific immune cells like lymphocytes in our body. And whenever it generates antibody or lymphocytes, the reaction with them is specific and you can observe it. So any substance which is introduced parenterally will produce either antibody or sensitize specific lymphocytes, and the reactions with them is specific and in an observable manner. Now there are two terminologies, antigen and immunogen, and some people use it synonymously, but there is a subtle difference between them. Antigen means any substance which interact specifically with antibodies or immune cell receptors like B cells or T cell receptor. While when you say immunogen, it has a capacity to induce a detectable immune response, either humoral or cellular, which results in either production of antibody or activation of T cell. That means whenever you say antigen, you just saying that it is capacity to bind with antibodies or B cell or T cell receptor. But when you say immunogen, that means it can induce production of antibodies or activation of T cells or B cells, as well as it can bind with them. So whenever we say antigenicity, it is property to combine with either antibody, T cell receptor or B cell receptor, which may or may not result in an immune response. That means all antigens are not immunogens, but all immunogens are antigens, because to mount an immune response, the combination with antibody or T cell or B cell receptor is required. So we can say that there are two attributes of antigenicity. First is immunogenicity, that means induction of immune response, either humoral or cell mediated, and second is immunological reactivity, that is specific reaction with antibodies. There are two types of antigen. First is complete antigen and another is incomplete antigen, also known as Hapten. So what is a complete antigen? Complete antigen induces antibody production and it can bind with antibody specifically and in an observable manner. While Hapten or incomplete antigen, which is the word derived from Greek language, Hapten means fast. It is incapable of inducting antibody. Haptens are usually smaller size molecule. So if you want to make hapten or incomplete antigen into a complete antigen, you have to make them big. So we do it by combining it with inert carrier molecules which does not take part in reaction. And such type of hapten carrier conjugate are usually complete antigen. There are two types of hapten, complex hapten and simple hapten. Complex hapten, they precipitate with specific antibodies and they are usually multivalent. That means they can bind with two or more antibody combining sites. While simple hapten are usually non-precipitating because they can only bind with one antibody. That means they are monovalent. Epitope. Epitope is the smallest unit of antigenicity. It is also known as antigenic determinant. That means it is the smallest portion on antigen which combines with smallest portion on antibody. Epitope is 4 or 5 amino acids or monosaccharides. They have specific chemical nature, specific electrical charge and steric configuration. They are capable to sensitize immunocytes or immune cells. They react with its complementary site on antibody or T cell receptor. The part on antibody which binds with epitope is known as paratope. So we can say that epitope on antigen can bind with paratope on antibody. So paratope is a combining area on antibody which is corresponding to the epitope. Now, epitopes are also of two types: linear epitope and conformational epitope. Linear or sequential epitope, it is a single linear segment of primary sequence, and T cell can recognize only sequential epitopes, while B cells, they usually recognize the conformational or three-dimensional epitopes. These conformational epitopes, they are formed by being brought together on surface residue from different sites on peptide chain. So we have linear epitope which can be recognized by T cells, and we have discontinuous or conformational epitopes which are recognized by B cells. It is not necessary that antigen is made up of one single type of epitopes. Usually it is different types of epitope which presents as antigenic mosaic. Antigenic cross reaction. Sometimes same or similar type of epitopes on different antigens can lead to antigenic cross reaction. To understand it, we have presented here with three antigen A, B and C, and each one of them is having a epitope. Now antigen A usually induces or binds with anti-A antibody, but as you can see, due to similarity of epitope structure of antigen B and C with antigen A, this same antibody can bind with antigen B as well as antigen C. This is known as antigenic cross reaction or cross reactivity. If the epitope is exactly same, we call it as shared epitope, and if its conformational structure is similar, not exactly same, we call it a similar epitope. Determinants of antigenicity. Now what decides that this structure is antigenic? So there are four major parameters which determine that the substance is antigenic or not. First of all, size. As we have seen that more larger the molecule, more antigenic it is. For example, we have understood that there are two types of antigen, complete antigen and incomplete antigen. We know that incomplete antigens are smaller molecules, while complete antigens, they are usually larger molecules. So as you increase the size of molecule, it becomes more and more antigenic. Second, its chemical composition. It has been seen that proteins are good antigens compared to carbohydrates, lipid and nucleic acid. So usually it is in this order that substances are antigenic. That is, protein and carbohydrate are better antigenic substances compared to lipid and nucleic acid. That means protein and carbohydrate antigens can induce immune response easily in our body compared to any organism which has lipid or nucleic acid that cannot generate immune response. Third, tissue enzyme susceptibility. It is necessary for antigen to get processed to be presented to T cell or for further immune response. So tissue enzyme susceptibility is also a very important criteria in determination of antigenicity. And last and the most important is foreignness. The more the foreign the structure is, the more antigenic it is. That means our immune system is tolerant, which is known as immunotolerance, to self-antigen. That means we do not react to our own antigenic structures. That means more the foreign molecule, we will react to it. So more the foreignness, more will be the antigenicity. If we react to our own antigen, that condition leads to autoimmunity. We will surely come up with other videos in which we will talk in detail about tolerance and autoimmunity. Now, what are the different types of antigenic specificity? First of all, species specificity. All member in a species will show this antigenic specificity. For example, blood stains in forensic. Based on this antigen, we can say that okay, this is animal blood and this is human blood, because certain antigens are only present in this species. Second is isospecificity. That means only some members in a species will show the specificity. For example, blood groups, we know that RBC has A and B antigens, and so only within one species, that is human beings, we have only some people having this kind of antigen. Then autoantigens, that is basically self-antigen. Organ specific antigen. There are certain antigens which are found in organ regardless of the species. For example, brain has certain chemicals or antigens which are found in every species, and this has been found while making the rabies vaccine. Initially the rabies is an encephalitis, and for that we inject the rabies virus into sheep brain, and we have found that when you take up the sheep brain and inject it into human beings, the human reacted to this organ specific antigen. So a vaccine which was made to prevent encephalitis was causing encephalitis. So this is the significance of understanding organ specific antigenicity. Then we have heterophile antigenic specificity, that is basically antigenic cross reaction. Because of sharing or similar antigenic structure, same antibody can cross react with one or more antigens, and this has been used in various types of reactions to diagnose conditions. For example, Weil-felix reaction, that is used to diagnose typhus fever, in which we utilize the protease bacterial antigen to detect antibodies against rickettsia. Bunnel test, which is used to diagnose the condition infectious mononucleosis, in which we utilize RBC antigen to detect antibodies against Epstein virus. And cold agglutinin test, which is done in primary atypical pneumonia, usually caused by mycoplasma. Here we are using again streptococcus antigen to diagnose antibodies against mycoplasma. So this is the antigenic specificity. Biological classification of antigen can be divided into T-cell dependent antigen and T-cell independent antigen. Now, most of the antigens which are T-cell dependent, they are usually protein in chemical nature, while independent antigen, which does not require T-cell processing, are usually carbohydrate or lipid antigens, so capsular polysaccharide or lipopolysaccharides. So before presented to T-cell, they usually require processing by antigen processing cells, which are usually macrophage and other dendritic cells and B cells. So preliminary processing is required for T-cell dependent antigen. Well, that is not the case with independent antigen. They can go and directly stimulate the B cell. Now T-cell dependent antigen, because they have gone through the specific sequence from antigen presenting cells to T cells, they can induce a full gamut of immunoglobulin types like IgM, IgG, IgA and IgE, while the independent antigen, they can only induce production of IgM and IgG3. Because T cells are involved, it will also form the memory cells, or that means it will have immunological memory, while that is not the case in case of T cell independent antigen. T cell dependent antigens, because they require processing, they are usually rapidly metabolized in the body. In next videos we will talk about super antigen and pattern recognition receptors, so stay tuned for this channel, Fuel Medical Education. We will post more videos. If you have other topics in mind, do let us know.